As we get closer to the election, it is always worth remembering the people leading the MAGA movement, and that whatever the MAGA movement accuses people of, it is actually a confession. Let's go for a great example. The first vice chair of Georgia's Republican Party, Brian Pritchard. He fits all the highlights of MAGA. He hosts a conservative radio show. He made public statements that the 2020 presidential election had widespread voter fraud, which were false. And of course, he's also on probation because he pled guilty to felony check forgery. But remember, every accusation is a confession. He talked about voter fraud. Well, a judge just ruled that while on probation, he illegally voted 9 times. 9 times. Now, MAGA has called for anyone who's caught illegally voting to be jailed for basically ever, right? They're very angry about it. What is the punishment the judge gave him? A $5,000 fine and to be publicly reprimanded by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And no, that's not a joke. In the judge's order, he has to be publicly reprimanded by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. Now, of course, someone like this has kind of made it just a little too on the nose. So, Marjorie's made a statement. The vice chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, Brian Pritchard, voted illegally 9 times while serving out his probation for felony check forgery. Brian Pritchard must resign immediately. The Republican Party is the party of election integrity. And after the 2020 election, which was stolen in Georgia through rampant voter fraud. See, even now she has to lie. The voter fraud is coming from inside the House at a small scale. And even now she's lying, claiming widespread voter fraud. There have been so many times that it has been looked into. And what do we find if we do find any voter fraud? Almost every time. Almost every time. A Republican complaining about voter fraud is committing voter fraud. But let's continue. Our state party should be the leading voice on securing our elections. At a time when the Georgia Republican Party is successfully building its effort to protect our state from a total Democrat takeover, which is really what it's about. Because this is really negative for Republicans in Georgia. It could cause more people to vote Democrat, and it's not about the fraud, it's about the power. They need the power. She needs the power. It is unacceptable for our party to have a man in leadership who has repeatedly committed voter fraud himself. Brian Pritchard must resign immediately or be removed from office. Do I think he's going to resign? No. I personally would be surprised if he did. If he does, he will quickly be rehired by like a conservative think tank. For sure. And he'll resign after knowing he has a job lined up. It might be a couple months before he starts, but I don't see him resigning until he has a job lined up. Now, with all that being said, just a personal note. There's a game launch coming out on Friday that I'm going to play with some friends. So, probably not going to have any videos on Friday. Unless something major happens, I might, like, squeeze one in there. But I got some friends. We do it every so often. They're wanting to play, so I'm probably going to play with them. But yeah. How does she do this? This guy lies about voter fraud, commits it himself, and then she insults him while also lying about voter fraud like he did. MAGA. That's MAGA.